might make you say wow. Let's enjoy some fun conversation. We'll be shooting the shelf around the nation. Let's start shooting the shelf.
Good morning. Hello there. Hi there. Ho there. Whoa there. Hey, dilly dilly. Whatever. Curtis, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good. You?
I've been quiet. I've been by myself almost for 3 days. So talking out loud to other people is a little weird right now.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's good. It's good, because, things and stuff. But hey, what?
I don't know. Why have you been by yourself for 3 days?
I guess 2 days dog sitting. I've been at my coworkers out of town for the weekend, so I've been dog sitting, been talking to the dogs, I guess. And then I worked yesterday by myself. I did have my friend over, but we watched a show, so we didn't talk a lot.
Did the dogs talk back to you?
One of them did talked a lot after not talking at all the whole time I was there yesterday. Last night at 11 o'clock, he just kept woofing at stuff, and I'm like, what do you want? You've had your food, you won't go out. He's an old dog.
He wasn't speaking English.
He might have been. I just didn't know what word
That's my if you're hearing dogs talk to you, that's my check for a serial killer, because Rich Ramirez, Night Stalker, I think his dog was telling him to kill people. So I had to check,
He might have been, but I couldn't understand what he was saying. So I don't know.
Okay, so you did not murder anybody this weekend?
Ever. I don't, as far as I know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And if you did, you didn't do it because of a dog told you.
Well, but I didn't.
Right. But if you did.
But I didn't.
Right. We'll just go with that.
I smell pizza.
Hey, we got folks in the chat.
We do.
You want me to shout them out?
Yes.
Let's see. We got Crom 316 here, our good buddy Mark. We've got Dave Orkin here. J-Max 77. Got Benny Torres. Welcome, sir.
UBT.
Freaks Figures. I am is here. We have Stacy Lin, who I'm upset with. She abandoned me yesterday for Mod Squad. It almost became a huge sausage fest, but we had some ladies pop in, so that was nice.
George came on?
No.
Oh.
No. Darla Ackerman is here. I know her. She's right over there. She did not pop into Mod Squad because she didn't like me. Calero Benson is here. We've got William Husted. Mr. C 5050. We got Brian Lynn here. Is his birthday yesterday. Happy belated birthday. Yep. Let's see. We got Ty here. We got Bryan K. Borgman in the house. One Jeremy Govier. Who Less Some Warlock is here. We've got Jen, aka Lucky Sprinkles, James Studio, Sasamudio. We've got Ryan Caldwell here. Chef Brendan Higgins, put some respect on his name. High Ass Twizzler is here in the chat. Says I'll watch until I have to go to Odyssey and IMAX. Well, there you go. That sounds like fun. Patrick Boyle is here. Welcome, sir. We've got Jesse Marshall. Jay of Low Fidelity Customs is here. Cincy John is here. We've got Kevin McCoy.
There's no peeps on the shelf. Peeps aren't allowed in my apartment.
Why is that?
I think they're gross.
Like any version, like the bunnies or the chicks or any of them?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you're just changing the shape. Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, the shape changes the flavor too.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, because you're getting different sugar to marshmallow ratios depending on what part of it you're biting.
Okay, I mean, but it's not the over, like it's still sugar. It's not like,
You don't like sugar?
no, have you met me?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out here. We're trying to discover this.
It's
So,
let's keep going. Just saying, there's
Okay.
there's no peeps on the shelves in here.
Okay. I'm just letting you know, if you leave them sit out for like 2 weeks open, get stale, perfect.
Charms.
Kevin McCoy is here. We've got Tanya here, who I'm mad at Tanya as well, because she seduced Stacy into going on a trip.
Allegedly.
No, this is factual, and that made Stacy not join me for Mod Squad. So Santos is here. We've got scrolling. We got Kempop, action figure dude. We've got Trevor, 1/6 shooter in the house. The Amir Michael Kaspar is here.
I don't give a fuck. His name was Mike.
Fucking Mike.
That's true. Dylan is here. Welcome, Dylan.
From his new digs in the north of Carolina.
Very nice. Very nice. And then we have David Williams that popped in as well. So
What's up?
yeah. Peeping the shelf.
No. Ew. No.
Yeah. I just don't think you've had a stale enough peep to know how good they can be. That's my theory. So yeah. Anyway. What was that?
I don't know. What was what?
I don't know. Hey, we've got a guest.
We do have a guest.
Yeah.
Folks,
We don't have or two. We have one, but it's a cool guest.
Yes.
So
it is a very cool guest.
yeah.
And despite me not including his hair color in the slide last week, I have updated it, and it is here in person tonight. Folks, put your digital hands together in a round of applause for the one and only Bryan K. Borgman.
Welcome, Bryan.
I love peeps, but they have to be fresh.
Fresh.
Yeah.
Oh no, man, you gotta have stale peeps.
And
I'll tell you
bunnies
what.
are better.
I tell you what, you give me the one. If you buy them from the store and they turn out to be stale, I'll take those off your hands and I'll let you have my fresh ones. So
Deal.
that'll work.
See, John, I'm calling everyone candy corn now instead of peeps. Shelf candy corn. I like candy corn, so that's fine.
I
by
like
me.
candy corn too. Yep.
Oh, look
Doesn't
at
roll
this.
off the tongue as nicely.
This must be a very special occasion because we got Business Len in the chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know,
The boss is here.
I've got a sound effect for that. I think. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe this.
Do you?
Business Len is here, so I think we need.
Okay. Stacy Marshall also jumped in. We had Anthony from the Toy Forge, and Collectible Fun Matt. So a few more folks jumped in there late. But welcome everybody. Well, Bryan, welcome to the show. We're gonna see how many secrets we can get you to share before Len yells at you. But before we do, we start off with a little thing called Shelf Selections, where Jesse and I saw some things on Instagram that inspired us this week, and we like to share them with everybody here so that they can follow these folks and make their Instagram feed much, much cooler. So let's see what we've got. Starting off with one of my picks in this of like Ohio and Michigan. I think it's on the Michigan side, but if you're in that upper, Ohio, Michigan type area, go see him and Tristan and maybe Jenny at StatueCon and see what they've been working on. So, and then Jesse, we had this guy pop in. What you know about this guy?
That's Kevin Boots. He's been a member for 29.
Really neat. I like it. So, Bryan?
Yeah, I'm wondering, wizard, sorcerer, lore master, monk,
Time Master.
What's going?
I didn't realize it at first, but I like the. It looks like it's the black tone skin limbs from maybe the Lee elf or a Taurian or something. I really think that's a cool like bodysuit look underneath like the armor, because the other arm's got the full metal on the left side.
Mhm.
This is a really unique, fun pop and swap build. I dig it.
Very cool. Next is one of Jesse's picks.
This is from Gina_collector13, not to be confused with Gina_collector 1 through 12, as Curtis would say. This is giving major was it Dinotopia vibes with Star Wars figures mixed in, and this whole like town and village. And I just think I just thought this was really cool, and it made me really happy when I saw this.
These are some very well-behaved dinosaurs. Like these people seem very calm to have these dinosaurs just kind of like walking around all this like fancy building and stuff. So yeah, super well-behaved. I'm not sure how they got them to be so gentle, but good job in dino taming, however you did that. So, Brian?
Yeah, and very clean, bright presentation. I'm tend to go very dark with my likes, and so this is the opposite. But also, yeah, it's very tame dinos there, and everyone's looking very happy. So a lot of fun.
This looks like one of those things where like you run out of all the different room for all the different toy lines that you collect, and so you just throw them together, and you're like, it works. You know, it's it's fine. It's cool. All right, next one. This is Donna.Wong on Instagram with this really awesome lightning effect or light effect on this axe. I just thought this was really cool. It was actually from a reel, so you can actually go and see, you know, the different steps that he's doing to you know, get it to this point. But the end all effect on this just looks really cool. So I had to clip this one because he did a great job. Jesse?
Real quick, some people are saying something in the chat about clinching. Is there something going on with the stream out there? Everything seems fine on my end.
I don't know
I
what
don't know.
clinching means.
But a couple people are saying that it's happening to them. So I don't know if it's just me saying awful things that's making people like clinch up. But this picture is really cool. That lighting effect, how like that glow is hitting like the rivets and the studs, like the spike studs and everything. It always baffles my mind that there's not like an actual illumination coming off of this when I see these painters do this effect. It's really, really cool.
Brian?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that lighting. It's really rad. And yeah, at first I thought maybe it was like actually lit up or something when it first popped on the screen. So that's really cool. The eyes especially look like they're glowing in there from the photo. So yeah, well done.
Awesome. Sounds like YouTube itself was maybe having some problems. Some people said that they restarted it and it's good.
Yeah.
So there you go. We broke YouTube. We're that popular, folks.
All right, come on.
Next is one of Jesse's.
Since Brian said he like kind of like darker pictures, this one is from Christian_collects. We got some I don't know, eldritch horror stuff going on here. I loved the comment. What was that 90s girl group? En Vogue, I think.
Sure.
Is like something like train your mind, the rest will follow, or something like. But the quote here was like, flay your mind, the rest will follow. And that just made me, that cracked me up. Because
it's free.
It's what?
Free your mind, and the rest will follow.
Free your mind. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So flay your mind. I mean, it's just freedom in a different way. Yeah. And yeah, I just thought it made me laugh at the whole juxtaposition of this horror happening in a church. You know, it's very H.P. Lovecraft. Curtis is going to pull up the word juxtaposition probably in the banner. I just thought this was fun and a real fun tweak.
Brian?
Yeah. Loving the tentacles. There's the juxtaposition. No, awesome. It definitely a lot of fun and kind of creepy.
Yeah, this is super creepy. And I'm glad that we still have a couple hours of show because I would not want to go to sleep right now. So good job at creeping me out. Nice work. Next is one that I just picked up today. I'm going to say, huh?
This was one of my picks too.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe you can help me with the name. Is it Jan Yule? That's what I'm going with.
That's how I was going to say it.
That's what I'm going with. And I did not know that outside of Brett Stoddard that anybody had this many skeletons. So good job. That is one heck of a use of skeletons and weapons for a display and a picture. Nicely done. Kudos. I mostly just wanted to bring this up to say good job. Jesse?
I love it. It's giving me vibes of was it the poster for what was it? The zombie movie with Brad Pitt.
World
War Z.
That's it.
Yeah.
Where they're like piling up, coming up the wall. It kind of feels like that, but I don't know if it looks like that's the new Blue Shield soldier, just kind of, taking a break on this mountain of undead. And and some of them look like they're trying to crawl away still. I just like, there's a lot you could just keep looking. And I love that it's just in front of boxes of other stuff. Like it's like, as much as I like the immersive diorama set, sometimes when it's just someone having fun is just as cool to me.
Cincy John says, who collects that many skeletons? Apparently more than one person, because I know Brett has way more than that. Brian, thoughts on this skeleton mound throne situation?
It's inspiring. I have a lot of skeletons too, nowhere near that many yet, but maybe. But no, that's awesome, and so much going on there. I love it.
I think that's the great thing about. I know there's the new reinforcement skeleton that's out there. Retailers have right now. The great thing about these skeleton bodies is, yeah, you can use it as a figure, or you can just use it as like diorama fodder. Like it just works. So. Get them while they're cheap, folks. All right, next one is one of Jesse's. What in the
did break the rule?
Fuck?
Not from Instagram. I did look up the name on Instagram and I could not find it. So this was in the Cabal. Nick, I'm sure I'm going to say this wrong. Manson. They did a sculpt. They freehanded a sculpt around a troll, like a spare troll head, and I just thought this was really cool. Like it kind of reminds me of the Blurg or whatever from Mandalorian in Star Wars, but with the Mythic Legion's troll head, and it just cracked me up, and I thought that's really, really clever, and the way they did the texture from the head down the back and the color matching did a fantastic job. Curtis is having a rough time existing.
This is the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. I love it. It's awesome, but it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we do end up with extra pieces with Mythic Legions, and I guess this is something you could do with it.
So I guess we didn't know trolls reproduce like tadpoles, and eventually, they grow into their full upper bodies and everything.
Brian, you go ahead on this.
Yeah. I'm getting some Jimothy vibes too.
That too.
This is the Mythic Jimothy right here, and I'm all about that. So, this is hilarious, but I love it. I'm loving it.
Wow,
clever.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But Nick, get an Instagram. Come on, what are you doing? All right, next is one of mine. Not sure if he's still in the chat, but this is from our good friend. It's David Williams. I love when David he posts stuff. And he makes me want to punch him in the face because he'll just be like, I had some free time. I was just messing around and I came up with this thing that you couldn't do if you tried your hardest as long as you wanted to. So this picture he did, I just think this is fantastic. It's beautiful. And he does it so effortlessly that I just want to punch him. But Jesse?
I agree with Kevin. This needs to be a shirt. Between him and Dusty, like the art those two guys keep cranking out, just keep putting them up on Retro Rags. No, this is great. This was also one I had picked, so Curtis let me scramble, and good thing I had a whole bunch this week. So this is just I love it. I think we had one last week from him with the Clavian. And I just really love the colors and like the different tones. Yeah, love it.
I love the facial expression. Like he just looks like he's pissed off. So, Brian, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, that's just his sitting face or his resting face.
Yeah.
So, no, absolutely. Let's make that a shirt. And that's giving me some ideas right there. That I could see him as a NPC in the game.
Oh, there you go, folks.
There you go.
All right. Next one is from Jesse.
Photographic_nerd32 with some form of raptors in a stream. The whole forced perspective with the background being blurred out and them being in focus. I love it. I love how clear and clean that water looks. It feels like a scene from one of those dinosaur like fake documentaries they do on Discovery Channel or whatever. I dig it.
This photo feels humid and just moist. Like I just feel like it's hot and sticky and like I don't know. Like it's really good job of like creating that environment to where I can feel this. Like I want to start smacking mosquitoes on me right now. So yeah, good job with the whole environment of this shot. Brian?
Yeah, I've got the Jurassic Park theme song running through my head now, and some of those raptor sounds from Blue in the movies. The chirp sound that they make, and yeah, no, it's awesome. And yeah, I love in the water, and that just how much we see of it, but they're there, just right there. It's perfect.
Very cool. Next one is actually so Darla found this account and got me hooked on this one. And this is one for any customizers out there, anybody that's getting into painting and stuff, highly recommend go and follow this account because they have some stuff on there. Like one of the things that Darla sent me, and I put it in our YouTube chat that we have for our live streams, was like a skin tone chart that had like, if you use Vallejo, here's all the different skin tones that you can use and what it looks like. And if you use Citadel, here's all the different skin tones. And they've got charts for like a bunch of different things, like how to paint gold, how to paint undead skin tones. And this one here was just like an orc on a war bike, and it has all the different paints that they used in there, which is a ton. You can see all the different colors and kind of how they used it. And I think it's just a very super helpful like resource guide for folks. He has some in there that's talking about what's the one from Monument Hobbies, Jesse? The Pro Acryl, Vallejo, AK, like whatever paint that you're using, he's got guides that have that stuff in there. So like I said, highly recommend checking this one out. It's a super helpful resource on Instagram, and this miniature came out fantastic. So, Jesse?
Yeah, the first thing I was like, what did Curtis mean to send me this? And then I realized what it was. Because at first I just thought it was like an order sheet or whatever, and then I realized what it was, and it's just really cool. It means this tells me I need to up my game when I'm painting. Granted, I'm not usually painting an orc and a bike and the bit like all of the things at one time anymore. But just like, I'll see it sometimes when an artist like with David Williams or someone like that one with the vampire with Valak just now. If you're using Procreate or on an iPad or whatever, you get like your little palette and you see the colors you use, but like this is just crazy. And how sometimes just the subtle shades like between those browns on the leather, like there's 4 different browns on the straps, and it looks like, the 2 in the middle, they're not that different, if you really break it down, but I'm sure when you look at the layers up close, it makes a real big difference to have the little increments.
Well, I saw something on this that they talked about like classes and stuff, and Arthas popped in and said that this is a painting studio in Bangkok, and he took the course with them once. So,
oh, nice.
So there you go. So a little insight there. Brian, thoughts on this?
Yeah, amazing. This is why I don't do painting anymore. It's because I see this and I'm like, yeah, no. Many moons ago when I got into wargaming and whatnot, I used to love White Dwarf, and they would have breakouts like this too on the in print in the magazine, where they would tell you this is the colors that were used for this army, and they would of course it was all Citadel as well
Mhm.
for that particular print magazine because that was what they owned, or own. But I've always enjoyed seeing these types of palette shares, color wheels, if you will, to show you what to use. So it's pretty cool.
Very neat. Next is one of Jesse's.
So this is from Vic underscore geek underscore with Vi and Jinx from Arcane. I believe these are the Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures. Just really liked the more kind of calm, at ease pose between the sisters. And there's a couple other shots and angles and stuff from this set on the post. But yeah, I just thought this was really cool, and I love the digital background or whatever's going on there. Yeah, love it.
And I just want to say, folks out there, he's going to keep posting these Hot Toys, figures until somebody finds him a deal on them and he can have them himself. So
No.
so just so you know, these are going to keep coming. Vi and Jinx, you're going to have them all year long, unless somebody finds him a really good deal. So if anybody knows somebody, hit up Jesse.
No,
but no, these figures look great, and we've seen them in a few different photos already, but just really seamless. Like they don't look like action figures. You don't see the joints, you don't see the lines, and they look just like they're ripped right out of the series. So I really like the background on this too that they used. It does look like it's in the show. So Brian.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been trying to look for the seams and I'm not seeing them. I love the series. I loved Arcane, Jinx, all of that's really cool. I don't do 1/6, so I guess I'm safe. But yeah, no, that's an awesome. The whole thing. This looks great. The way they're all laying there and just chill. Yeah.
Very. My last one for the day is. I believe it's Jackie Painter. And holy shit. I mean, the whole thing is great. The gradient throughout. I mean, there's like all of these different colors transitioning into other colors. The gums look great. The teeth look great. The tongue looks great. But that eyeball, my goodness, that eyeball is crazy good. And then all the little eyeball stalks are just as good, and this is just amazingly done. Like I try to be persistent. I'm not a good painter, but I'm persistent to where I keep going until something looks the way I want it to look. But I just know I will never achieve anything like this because this is just top tier level. Like it's so damn good. So yeah, I wanted to pull this up because it's fantastic. Jesse.
I'm trying to get a sense of scale on how big this is. Like I'm assuming it's for like a D&D miniature, but it's still big.
If I remember right from the pictures, it looked like it was about like 10 inches tall. It is a miniature, but because it's a bigger character, I believe it's like 10 inches tall.
That's what I was thinking. So I was trying to assume that the bottles in the picture on the right hand side are like standard like paint bottles.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is huge, but like it's still tiny detail. Like that tongue coming out of those teeth makes me very uncomfortable. Like how many times has that thing like bit its tongue? And it's yeah. But this is really cool. The little pile of gold and weapons underneath it, and how a couple of the eye stalks are starting to give off like their effects. And yeah, the detail on that eye is, I mean, the colors alone are insane. And like, even like the little veins, like in the corners, but like that gloss finish on that is insane.
Ridiculous. Brian.
Yeah, the iris on the main eye is mesmerizing. The lighting, the contrasts within it are amazing. I love seeing the gloss versus the kind of matte, like on the eyebrows. They're more of a a satin or matte finish there. So great contrast. And the gums, of course, are very wet in the tongue. And trying to use the shields and whatnot in the gold pile for kind of scale to see where that would be if that's like in 28 or Horeb 32 millimeter. Like, yeah, that's a big beholder for sure. That's impressive.
Yeah, and freaks, that was beautiful. Chef's kiss on that comment. So yeah, great work. And then last one for the day, folks.
So this is the Vault of Toys and Toy Mercs. I believe this is the new Mattel Rumi from K-Pop Demon Hunters. It's cool seeing people starting to get these in hand. And I just thought this was a fun shot. I didn't realize that the figure came with like the two eye colors and how the gold seems to be really reflecting on the left side. It's just really cool. And as you know, Curtis, this is one of my favorite movies of all time at this point.
What?
I just had to put it in there.
Where does this, is this number 2? Is that where this fits?
No, it's above my top 13.
It's above. Okay.
Because it's going to have a sequel, so franchises go above the top 13.
It doesn't go into the list until it has a sequel. Like, what if the sequel gets canceled and they just never make it?
If the sequel never comes out and nothing else comes from it, then it's at number 1.
Okay, gotcha.
Braveheart after 30 years.
This is another one, folks, that I predict we're going to see a lot of in Jesse's photos until he gets it in hand. So,
even after I get it in hand.
But yeah, I'm glad that these are coming out. Definitely was a great movie, and yeah, excited for people to get these. Brian?
Yep, all of that. I really enjoyed the movie. I have 3 daughters, and I watched it with I think at least 2 of them at once, and then all 3 of them another time. And that was a great experience in and of itself. Lots of fun. This looks like a really cool figure, and that's a really cool with the eyes there. That's yeah.
I would say the movie has quite literally changed Jesse's life. He's eating new foods. He's learning new languages. It has had a major impact on Jesse. So, and that's it for shelf selections, folks. So that's all. But follow those folks. They're awesome. It'll make your Instagram feed cool. So, all right, Brian, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing excellent. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, we've talked to you a little bit during the 24-hour campaign with the RPG. We know that you've been involved in that. Initially, it kind of seemed like you were maybe going to do a little bit of work, but now it seems like you're doing a lot of bit of work to where they've kind of given you a little bit more to do. But before all that, give us a little bit of your background, kind of just with the toy industry as a whole. And your nerddom journey.
That's a lot in and of itself. All began a long time ago. And it really did. I mean, I'm 51, so I grew up with all of the best toys ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my dad and my aunt, his sister, for whatever reason, they had a finger on the pulse of new toys that were coming out even before I did. As like 2 or 3-year-old, 4-year-old, I was getting Star Wars figures before I really knew what Star Wars was. I was getting G.I. Joe Vamps and Wind Charger and Ironhide before I knew what Transformers were. I mean, I was getting all of these cool things. So I grew up with He-Man and Optimus Prime and Duke and Lady J, and I had no problem mixing them all up in my toy box and having a good time with that. And in around 84, I discovered D&D. My neighbor, he's a year older than me, and his brother's a couple years older than him, and the 3 of us kind of started playing D&D, but our own way. because we were still fairly young. I mean, we were 8, 9, 10 years of age. So
You
there was
didn't
a
have
lot of
like the
reading.
PTA or mothers shutting you down for the Satan
we
worshiping or
did.
anything.
I didn't know at the time, but my mom had actually asked the mother of these two boys
Mhm.
what they thought, like what was the consensus, and they were like, well, if our kids are playing together, like we can keep an eye on them, and like, but also like they didn't care because they bought the stuff for their sons, so they had already made that step. Whereas for me, it was like I went over there and learned about it.
Mhm.
So but we homebrewed it straight away. And mostly what we did was we wanted to play with and it's funny, ironic, I guess, we wanted to play with our Star Wars toys and our GI Joe toys. So we started making like paladins out of biker scouts or stormtroopers, or like those were what we used for our inspiration. Then we would stat them up, and we didn't really care about the weapons, like if it was medieval versus futuristic. But and we would build terrain out of our Lego, and or we would use our Castle Grayskull or whatever it was.
Mhm.
So from a very, very young age, I was kind of mixing toys and gaming together.
That was
Went to
very
college.
yeah, it was very telling the future of
It was.
just that's very interesting that
It
the way
was,
that started.
and it's kind of funny to think that really is true, and that really I've been doing it for that long, because it never left me. But when I went to college, I was in a band, and part of in our downtime, and not just with the bandmates, but primarily with my bandmates, especially when we would be on a gig or whatever on the road, we would play the Star Wars role-playing game. Because we were all sci-fi nerds, and Star Wars was kind of having its Power of the Force 2 resurgence.
Mhm.
The game was the old West End game, but the toys were coming back. So we were playing Star Wars RPG for years, and then fast forward a little bit, I was doing music. I still do music, but I was doing music, and some friends of mine in the band Midnight Syndicate, they released the official Dungeons and Dragons soundtrack, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do the music I'm doing, but I want to do it for games. Like I
Yeah.
want to keep making stuff for games. And so I started contacting companies, and I contacted Midnight Syndicate first to figure out how they did it. And because they of course they worked with Hasbro, so they worked with like the top tier as far as businesses go. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, if I can figure out how to crack in with Hasbro / Wizards of the Coast, then anyone else should be fairly easy.
Right.
So they gave me pointers. We talked about royalties and contracts and all that kind of stuff. And so then I started approaching companies, and I worked with quite a few, but the first major company at the time was Mongoose Publishing. And this was during D&D's in the Open Gaming License 3.0 series or season of gaming, where everybody under the sun was making games because they could. It was the first real open license for D&D,
Mhm.
and people could just make whatever they wanted to. And Mongoose was really good at doing a lot of things, and so they started doing like the first game I worked on was the OGL Cybernet. So it was a cyberpunk role-playing game that was
Mhm.
just based on the 3.0 system. Then they did OGL Horror, so it was just a generic horror RPG. And I did soundtracks for these games. It was like, okay, I did, so I was like, I want to do, and so I basically I listened to Blade Runner and Nine Inch Nails, and mixed these things together, and I made my version of a soundtrack for cyberpunk. And then I moved on to horror, and I started watching the slasher movies, all the stuff I grew up with and what was new and current at the time, and made a soundtrack for that. And the fun thing with working with Mongoose was it turned from a contract gig of like me licensing their stuff to make music
Mhm.
to they are a British company, And most of the big shows still today are in the US. And so they asked me, they're like, hey, you live in Columbus. That's where Origins is at. Hey, you're only 2.5 hours from Indianapolis. That's where Gen Con's at. Can you go with one of our other US freelancers and help set up the booth on like day one? And we'll fly in for the weekend. But like, if you can be the guy that's there to get the truck and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, sure. You know, I mean, it was like, okay. And it quickly turned into, I'm a really good salesperson. So it quickly turned into, I would just like look at the table, read the back covers if I wasn't familiar with it. And like that first day, I'm like setting up, but then, you know, then we're selling. And by the end of the first weekend, which happened to be in Origins, you know, they're like, well, let's do Gen Con. Then I did Gen Con. And then they're like, do you want to do this with us regularly? And I was like, absolutely. So it turned into a job. And at the same time, they were getting ready to release miniatures games for the first time. And they had Judge Dredd, Starship Troopers, bunch of Babylon 5. And they were biting off more than they could chew. They didn't have enough people to help like write, play test, sell, you name it. And so I just like threw my you know, my hat in the ring and said, hey, let me help more. And I just started working and just started doing stuff. Like I would just write stuff. And unfortunately, back then, because they were so small, and because there was such a crunch of like trying to just get stuff out as fast as possible, not a lot of it was well written, because there would be a lot of like, here's my idea. And I swear it went right to the printer and got made into a book and nobody even looked at it. And I'm like, oh, you know, so it's kind of embarrassing, some of those early things. But I learned quickly. It was a lot of fun. So it just kind of kept snowballing from there. And I led their worldwide demo team program for a year and a half. And then that folded when they decided miniatures wasn't the direction they wanted to keep going. And so they went back to just RPGs. And I bounced over to a couple over the years. I bounced into other miniatures companies and worked on their stuff. And then in 2010, I decided to create my own game, Kaiju Chaos. And the whole premise of Kaiju Chaos for me was I wanted to create generic rules that you just play with stuff you already have. And this was a very novel idea at the time. It's kind of become a thing now. But I wanted to be able to play with like I still have, but like boxes full of like Reaper minis, 40K minis, Godzilla toys, you name it. And it was like, let's just come up with generic rules so where you can just play those things. And my friend, he really likes playing humans. I wouldn't have had humans in it at all, but he really likes having the human element in it. So it really became more of a war. I mean, it was always a skirmish, but it really became more of a war game at that point where it was like, okay, now we're going to have armies of humans and whatnot against Godzilla or, you know, but we were pulling out like the 12-inch, 14-inch Godzilla toys. I used the Cthulhu from WizKids. I had a Galactus from WizKids. I had some old Grendizer type, you know, Shogun Warriors, and I would stat them all up, and we would go to shows like Gen Con, and we'd have people at a 8-foot table, and everyone would get a big monster and their stat sheet and be like, all right, fight. And what we learned about that was it became couples therapy at some things, because all of a sudden, if there was a couple and they were sitting next to each other, they didn't care about the rest of the table. They were just fighting each other. And I'm like, okay, you guys are working on something out, working it out over there. That's fine. But it always ended up being, you know, last model standing. And it was fun. We did that for a while. And that's actually how I met George Gaspar. Was at the time I was also into muscle, Monster in My Pocket, Little Rubber Guy type creatures. And so I had been in his forums at October Toys and was backing and following the OMFG series of minifigures that October Toys was putting out. And I got the idea I asked him one day, I was like, hey, can I use them in my game? And at first he was very confused as to why I would want to use those toys in my game. So I explained it all, that, this is what I was doing. I just wanted to make stats. Like I wasn't going to claim ownership over anything. I just was like, I want to make stats inspired by that character. And basically all I needed to do is he asked me, I contacted all of the artists that had made stuff and got an approval. And I talked to them all about like what their characters would be like if they were like, what kind of stats they might have.
Mm-hmm.
And then I released stats for the OMFG and for a bunch of Glyos figures early on. And yeah, I was doing all of that. And then, so again, I took toys and made like rules, and then, things happen and, paths went different ways. But, when was it? Was it just, no, it was 2 years ago already, right? Right after they had announced the RPG at Legions that year, Designer Con was in Vegas, and I was there, and I saw George and Nate and a bunch of people. So we started just talking about the RPG a little bit. And that was the first time I had seen George in person since PowerCon here in Columbus. So it was just a kind of a good, like, touch base. Nothing was there. Nothing had, no discussions had happened at that point. But a year later, I met up with Cameron at Gen Con. So this was just last year. And it was kind of like, hey, we need help with the game. And George, was kind of like thrown around that maybe, you'd be a guy that'd be interested. And I was like, absolutely. And so,
and in your mind, you're going, I've been putting toys in games my whole life.
Now, did they lead off with that bit about the what they now call the mythic encounters? Was that part of that when you came on board, or was that something that came later?
So that was already part of the game, as far as I know. What I was approached for initially was, Cameron wrote the rule book, the core rules, and they needed somebody to do the adventure for the Kickstarter, for the starter set. And I was, I'm sorry, that's wrong. They wanted somebody to do something for a follow-up. Should the Kickstarter be successful, they wanted to have something ready, like as a follow-up to show, as Jeremy has said, like this is not a one and done type thing. This is we're serious about this. So they were actually asked me to do a follow-up that quickly, like within a month, by September, it turned into, we need it to actually be the one for the Kickstarter. So that's what it was. So I started working, I was just freelancing. I had already, obviously I was freelancing for other companies too, and still doing music and stuff. But I started officially freelancing in September with Mythic Legions and working on Kickstarter specific stuff at that point.
Very cool. Really cool. So a couple things in there that makes me excited, and I want to kind of hit you up on. You talked a lot about music with all these games, and that immediately got me going, when are we getting music for a Mythic RPG? Like, that feels perfect. Not only that, but like as you're playing, I know like when we play in D&D and Beyond, and there's the other virtual ones and stuff where you'll have like different background music that like what a cave sounds like, or a marketplace, or whatever, like just different sound effects and things like that. Is that something that you guys have thought about? Is that something you guys are toying around with?
We have not talked about it at all. At least not officially. The studio is aware that I do music of that nature. And I have certainly said that if it's ever something that we want to pursue, that I would be interested. Exactly. The soundtrack, that I would be interested, in at least taking a shot at it. So
that would be awesome. Yeah, I know, Jesse, you're normally, when we're playing, like you're the one that's like managing the different sound effects and stuff, but can you imagine like a Mythic Legion version of that?
I'm tweaking out here just thinking about that, just because when I think of like music like this, the first thing my mind goes to is are you familiar with the group Two Steps from Hell?
Yeah.
Okay, like because none of that is for, usually most of that stuff's not for like established properties. It's just
Right.
epic orchestral and different sounds. Like they've got stuff for sci-fi and more futuristic and like but then my mind's going to Lord of the Rings and all the different like cultural themes that Howard Shore created for that and everything. And it just gets me excited that at least there's other people thinking about it, even if it's not something that's on the verge of happening. It just makes me very happy. Because music, like when I'm customizing, if I'm not in the studio with Curtis and the other folks, like I just have score music playing and that sort of stuff. So to hear like an official, what it sounds like to be in Mythos would be very cool.
Yeah, if Business Len is still listening, we need to make that happen. And
so let me
probably
ask-
if it real quick before the soundtrack though, we definitely need Mythic Legion's The Flamethrower. That needs to happen first.
Is that a reference I'm missing?
Spaceballs, the lunchbox, Spaceballs, the breakfast cereal, Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, that's so I guess I would say 80% of the time listen to film scores. That's what I do. The rest of it is anything from 60s to 2000s rock of some sort. But what for both, I mean, what would be the genre of music? Like Lord of the Rings makes sense, right? Like you think of that symphonic type idea, but oftentimes like you'll get that off the wall or out of the box type sound where it's like heavy metal is what they're scoring fantasy music with or scenes with, and it works. So like what would be your choices?
So I have a whole Spotify playlist of what is called medieval metal, where it's like electric guitars and stuff, but with like people singing like a bard or like some sort of chanting type sound that you would have like with back with the Vikings or something like. So for me, that kind of thing, like where it feels old but it also feels new, like you said, it shouldn't work but it does. Like for me, that's what I would want. But really anything. I mean, if you guys put out something and slap the Mythic Legion name on it, like I would listen to it nonstop. So Jesse,
I'm not just going back to this group because I believe they're no longer together as far as I understand, the Two Steps from Hell, but like the way they mix the orchestral with like the rock elements, I think really works. Like, if it's a movie or a show, you want to play it, some music that would be tonally correct for the scenes and stuff. But I think for in-world gaming, like if you're just listening to it while you're at the tabletop playing or painting or whatever, something that has, like your different culture, the different, the four different, kingdoms of light and the four dark, especially you get into like Arethyr and like Necronominus, you got to get into some metal with those guys, I mean, shoot, even Poxus, I feel like the vampires, the Alithya's Brood would be like this kind of like operatic rock kind of thing, like, I'm drawing a blank on the group I'm thinking of, but yeah, just, where it's very like gothic and big sounding, but also, anyway, that is just the different vibes I would get in my head, or, because like as much as I like,
give me Poxus, Jesse. What would Poxus be?
Poxus?
Yeah. Like grunge?
No, Poxus. Guar through some sort of Eastern Asian, not Asian specific, but some sort of like, well, I mean, Asia's that's like a third of the world, so something like not like Western music, like Guar via weird distortions, kind of the discordant, sounds and stuff, would just, stuff that just makes you feel really off and uncomfortable. I feel like would be Poxus.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Of course, Etheron, it would be, very, very
heroic.
World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
like very, like for the Alliance, very uplifting, with like not bald eagles, but like the, the noble, and like, Noble Bear would be maybe a little more grunge, rock and roll, a little more like kind of like, I know Metallica is not grunge, but like more of that kind of rock, a little more
like garage metal,
like blue collar rock, like,
yeah.
And shoot, I feel like Sons of the Red Star would be all over the place, like experimental stuff, stuff that just sounds really expensive.
Yeah, these guys are listing off a bunch of bands in my playlist.
There's some great listings there. I've been watching them scroll in too. No, that's interesting. So I have tried. I just did. Surprisingly, I just did my 5th cyberpunk themed soundtrack, but it was my first synthwave album, and it was so much fun. And that was good. But I tend to and that one was the director, if you will, the game writer, he was very hands-on as far as he had specific ideas, which is great. I had no problem with following his ideas. Other projects have been like, no, dude, this is your own thing. You just do your own thing. And I'm like, great. And that's always easier too, as far as artistic freedom goes. But I have often I come from the camp that if the instrument didn't exist, it shouldn't be played like during that time. So like amps and guitars, like a guitar, okay, I could maybe do an acoustic guitar, like a lyre or sitar or something. We could say stretch that, but like if an acoustic or a electric guitar or distortion pedal during medieval times, I would say no. I often come from that angle of it. I try to make it as authentic sounding as possible. But again, Hollywood has changed that view, especially in the last 10 years, like of just like getting that like that Rammstein type feel in like Witcher and like these darker, like it's like, oh, that works. It shouldn't, but it conveys that action vibe that you want for that scene better than whatever flutes would do. So I try to stay away from the synthesizer because I don't like, for that purpose, I would rather use real instruments as much as possible. Of course, that gets pretty hard because I don't play that many instruments, but I know people who do. So yeah.
I would say you definitely need a keytar in there somewhere. If there's no keytar, I'm out.
For the dwarves.
Yeah.
For the dwarves. Like I totally get what you're saying, because like I used to always imagine, because I write stories and stuff too, and I would always like imagine, all right, if this book got turned into a movie, I'd be like, I want to have that score like Lord of the Rings, where it's got the orchestral, like the different sounds for the different cultures and all these things. And then I'd be like, but I like that rock edge, because I gotten into the Metallica S&M album, which I absolutely loved, especially like the live recording of it, where you see the orchestra by the end of that 2.5 hour concert, like their bowstrings are like shredded, and they're like all in their like orchestra finest, and they're all like sweaty, their hair's all over the place. It's like, look at these like like orchestra nerds like going full out with Metallica here, and it's just so epic. I really liked it. I was like, all right, I want to have 3 soundtracks for my movie. I want the orchestra, I want the rock version, and then I want a hybrid of both. And and then you listen to something like the Odyssey. I don't know if you've gotten to see that or hear the music from it, but they like recreated and tried to produce sounds that would have been from instruments in those times. And like I think there's something really cool about that as well. but yeah, things sitting around a table, you know, playing. I guess it depends. Maybe do two versions of it, like the rockified version and just the authentic version. But there's magic, you know. So,
Right.
you know, when I think of magic, I always think of that sound effect they did in First Class, Henry Jackman, like for Magneto's power, that kind of like almost dubstep kind of sound.
Right. Yeah.
It's not that specific, but something like that for anything that's really magic based.
I think the most recent example where I think they just nailed it is the Masters of the Universe movie. Like the soundtrack for that is just so freaking good, man. It is like, it's absolutely perfect. It's heroic when it needs to be. There's some tenseness at different points. And like that soundtrack is like, I could listen to that all day long. So
yeah, no, that is a perfect soundtrack. And honestly, if Freddie were still alive, right, it would have been, I think could have been even just a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
It certainly had that vibe. Obviously Brian May was on the album, but it definitely had that Flash Gordon but modern vibe, and that's perfectly what they were going for, and I love that too. I think the other one, the mix album or mixed instrumentation album that really inspired me was the first Matrix movie. That soundtrack, throwing true orchestral, with electronic dance music and smashing them together, and Juno Reactor and Don Davis like just gelling, and then like later on, you know, they started using groups also, but like the core soundtrack for the first movie was just that orchestrated dance music, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like, I mean, it was perfect for cyberpunk, but to hear those two together was great.
I've got two other soundtracks to ask you about before I get back to that. What was I going to say? Oh, same composer as Masters of the Universe as Daniel Pemberton did. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I loved the Charlie Hunnam King Arthur movie that came out a while back, and Daniel Pemberton that did the score on Masters did that, and I really like that sound effect because it's got like mixes of orchestral stuff and rock, and because it's kind of a fantasy world, they stretch some of the things, but it really worked. And if you've not listened to that, it doesn't have that kind of like 80s polish the Masters one has, but it's got like a similar, like it's a really good soundtrack. But I know it's not quite the same music. Tron Legacy and Tron Ares. What are your thoughts on those soundtracks?
Love them both. For me, I'm not a big Tron guy. The movies are so slow, in my opinion.
Fair.
They're kind of boring. But the music and the aesthetic, like, is what draws me in to always watch them. I really love Daft Punk's album. That was probably the best one. Nine Inch Nails, I mean, the new one was good too. Aries was good and certainly had some great tracks, standout tracks. But overall, I feel like Daft Punk's was a more solid piece as a whole.
I really like the Daft Punk one as well. That they did like a remix album, and that introduced me to a group called Glitch Mob, which I've become like infinitely, you know, following since then. Really like their stuff as well. Which I could totally see. I know people were talking about Cosmic, and like Cosmic would be, you know, cyberpunk and all that stuff, and I could hear, you know, Glitch Mob or any of the groups on that remix album, you know, even Daft Punk coming back would be great. But you know, yeah,
very cool. And then
you didn't realize how big of a can you were opening there, did you, Curtis?
No, it's good. It's good conversation. Another thing you kind of brought up when you were talking about, you know, early playing D&D, was using things as, you know, kind of terrain and stuff. And that's another thing we really haven't seen yet from the Mythic RPG. So any kind of terrain type things that you guys are thinking about, or you know, maybe you haven't discussed yet, but that you think, hey, it would make sense to do X, Y, and Z.
So the RPG team, which is a very small team, and the whole rest of the toy studio,
Mhm.
we're kind of we're definitely compartmentalized. So, and of course I'm remote too. So like
Mhm.
I don't talk to many people, especially not on the daily. I certainly I have my thoughts, and some of my thoughts are um, these accessory packs that we're releasing with certain waves, especially the Eindsmall one that's coming, right? It hasn't come yet, but like we're gonna get barrels and
Yep.
treasure chests or chests, and I'm I have said out loud numerous times to certain people, and I'm continually thinking that I feel like we need to see like a barrel 6-pack, you know, of just that, and a crate 6-pack, you know, or whatever. I don't care what number, but I'm just saying like, um, because those are the things you're going to want to like litter your table with,
Mhm.
as good, um,
I mean, some of the
good
stuff
items.
that Byler comes with like the backpack and the
Right.
campfire
And the
and the yeah.
campfire, and then Dawn of Discovery comes with a bunch of other stuff too, like in that wave. So yeah, we haven't received, you know, we don't have our hands on these things yet, but we're getting them. And so I would love to see that type of stuff. And obviously just following, I'm just making this up, but just following patterns that the studio's done with repackaging and re-releasing stuff that already exists in
Mhm.
like army builder fashion, it makes sense. Like we could see a treasure chest 3-pack, right? Or whatever. And it, it would just be printing money in my opinion. So I have been encouraging in that. And I'm looking at for the mythic encounters, to get back to that topic briefly. Um, One of the things I would like to see happen with mythic encounters in general is them be very environmental.
Mm.
And so I'm writing them in a way that, like, if it's in a confined room, let's just say map size, right, with the 4-inch grids, and you got your big action figure, so it's on a 20 by 30-inch map, so the guys can't move around a lot. But you're inside a room. There are walls. There might be a table, a bed, those crates, barrels, whatever it is. I want to see like people getting excited about going full wrestling with this stuff and smashing people into it and smashing stuff into people and smashing you into the wall and taking that kind of damage
Mhm.
opportunities, and you know, and GMs using things like dodge and stuff that are rules that, at least in my own experience of GMing and with my own group, doesn't come up as often as it could. Because often it's just fireball them, magic missile them, and it's done, you know. But there are rules for this kind of stuff. So I would love to see more of that. You know, conversely, out in a wide open field or even in the middle of a street, there's not necessarily going to be those walls that you're going to get slammed into, but there's other things. There's potentially pedestrians. I don't really know how we would do that, but pedestrians in the way, or you, like if you're Superman, you don't want to hurt the squirrel, right? You want to save the
Mhm.
squirrel. So like, how do you know, how can we make mythic encounters environmental,
I
and really change it up?
so we, you know, do the Legion's Quest thing, which originally started as before we knew about the RPG. Like it was just kind of a D&D campaign, kind of loosely set in the world of Mythos. So we made characters that we felt like would fit in Mythos. We used like different areas from Mythos and stuff. But this was before the RPG. We knew about it. And then obviously we did some play testing for you guys for the RPG and stuff. But for some reason, a lot of our fights end up being in taverns. I don't know if that's a normal D&D thing, but we have
That is,
we have a lot of tavern fights. And so we'll get into a situation where there's like some tables and stuff like you would have at a tavern. And so we'll have like, you know, Trevor or Nate or something will say like, can I get any kind of protection by hiding behind this table or something? And Joe will say like, well, just there by itself, no. But if you flip it on its end, then yes, you can kind of hide behind that and get a little coverage and that kind of thing. So, stuff like that would definitely play into the Mythic encounters. It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Jesse.
Are you trying to take money away from me at Legion's Con, Curtis?
I forgot. Jesse,
I mean,
what do you got going on for Legion's Con?
Obviously, whatever the studio puts out is going to be way better than what I can produce. But I'm working.
Tell everybody what you're working on for Legion's Con, Jesse.
Well, you guys got to see it at CarverCon. I got my dicey encounters to work with your mythic encounters. And for right now, it's 4 to 6 figures, customized, popped and swapped, mob of bad guys you would come across, themed to an encounter, with, at the moment they have stat blocks, but I'll have more stuff written up by the time I get to Legion's Con where, you can plop it into any scenario, if you're, that fits whatever your table's doing, whether, obviously once the mythic role-playing game comes in, you can tweak everything to the official stats, but for now I'm just going off the regular 5e. But it's 4 to 6 figures, maybe an animal or two, and some terrain pieces that have magnets in the bottom, and hopefully I can make a couple of the boards, but you can do it yourself just as easily. I got a 24 by 36 1-inch game mat, put a piece of 24 by 36 sheet metal under it and put it in a picture frame. And then the magnets, help stabilize the terrain on the table. I didn't figure out how to marker the board into the 4-inch grid square, but that's easy enough to measure. You just got to keep track of, your movement and everything. But yeah, and I had some logs and different things out that would be big enough. Like if you're out in the wilderness, your ranger or someone with like a range attack that wants to like drop down and hide can get cover behind it, depending on the angle and everything and walls or whatever. So yeah, might take the studio a while to like get the production and like get stuff out there. But
so Jesse's got you covered in the meantime.
Some of us, yeah, some people are working on. So go get some tables from tables and bookshelves from Drunk Gizmo,
Alexander Deshawn,
yeah, and some of the other dio makers. I know like Lone Wolf Labs makes cool dio pieces. I mean, there's so many people that make dio pieces that you could have for if you're in like a wizard study or a library or the different places Brian's talking about, and set yourself up.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
So who all is on the RPG team? Is it you, Cameron, and Emil, and Len, maybe, or is that?
Yes, and Len and Diego is there in spirit.
Gotcha.
I mean, he's definitely when I have questions or whatnot, he helped with a lot of the faction ranks and faction chapter of the book in particular. I'm sure he did. I know he did other stuff, but. So, if I have a question to him, I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Oftentimes I'll shoot him a text or email and just to get a question. So he's not like putting in hours on it per se. It's just internal input. But yeah, Len, I call him the top. He's our top sergeant. And then, Emil and I and Cameron and Diego.
Well, how much fun is it working with Emil?
So much fun. I didn't know him. I still haven't met him in person. Although I didn't even know him prior to this project, of course. But in February of this year, when the Kickstarter was, I think just before the Kickstarter launch, or maybe it was right after it had launched, we all started talking more. Like before that, it had just been some random chats, a few emails or whatever. And he and I had started just talking more. And then all of a sudden, some of those talks turned into like Sunday mornings for me, 3-hour like video conference where he's painting or whatever, and I'm writing or whatever, but we're just like talking and hanging out to the point now where it's like, it had to have been longer than just February, right? I mean, I feel like we've been friends forever.
Right.
And the same with Len. I mean, I only started working with Len at about the same time. I met Len in March, early March, at the Gamma Expo, the Gamma Expo. He and Jeremy and Greg and Cameron were there, and I was there because I worked for Gamma at the time, and of course was working on the RPG. So we all hung out then during the show and after the show in the evenings and whatnot. And so that's when I met. I had already had met Jeremy and Cameron, but first I'd met Len and Greg in person. And then I saw Greg again at Origins. That's the time I first met Diego in person. Some of the other people I'd met, obviously, like I said, at the Power Cons that were in Columbus, but that was a while ago. So, but yeah, it seems like for those people that I regularly talk to, I've known them much longer than I actually have. But there are a few people who I still haven't even really ever said anything to yet. But I'll be at Legions, and that'll be all hands, and so that'll be fun. So.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I'm assuming that the last couple years they've had like the little play testing sessions where people could go up there and try. I'm assuming you guys are going to be doing that again this year.
So we are still finalizing exactly what we're going to do, but we are planning to do it differently. But yeah, there will be full on. We want to have some real games going on, some actual Mythic Encounter type games going on.
Mhm.
So we're going to try to line up some GMs, and then have those GMs get their table together, get their players. Studio will help them with assets that are needed, maps or whatever it is. And then try to work on specific time slots where all of those can be kind of showcased. We're actually talking about, I would love to see some not tables, but chairs in there where people could watch kind of like a live actual play.
Mhm.
I think that would be cool. If you had groups that like to live stream or have the capability because they travel with that stuff all the time, they could live stream their games. I'm going to be GMing one of those sessions for sure. And then I'm also going to be running in certain hours, because obviously not the whole time, but I'll be running some demos of Mythic Encounters elsewhere, like probably in the lobby is what they're saying right now.
Mhm.
Again, I haven't been there, so I'm just, Jeremy and Len are telling me where I'm going, and that makes sense.
Mhm.
But then also, as I've hinted before, we've got a dice game that we're working on, and we'll be running that too. And I'm hoping, Curtis, I'm hoping we'll have some coins for that game in hand.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
Love to get some coins.
because it's
Yeah.
a gambling game. It's a gambling game. Yeah, we wanted to make a game that would be played in Mythos, like something. So specifically
sweet.
Mercurius for this.
So like a
so
mini
it's an
game inside the game.
Like
Yep.
3 Dragon Ante.
Exactly. Anything like that idea. We've thrown around the idea of like Sabak or the chess, like in Star Trek, like things that they do inside the world.
A sub game.
And
That's awesome.
so I designed and have been playtesting with family and friends and whatnot. The game, and it's real basic because I had some basic. I had to keep it within a certain thing, and so it works. So yeah, we'll be showing that off too.
Well, I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't throw out the name of Joe Gonzalez. He, has been our GM for Legion's Quest before there was an RPG campaign. He's helped with the test sessions. He's at both Legion's cons now where they've done the play sessions. He's GM'd. His favorite 2 things in the entire world are D&D and Mythic Legions, and this is like the culmination of those 2 things. So definitely want to throw out his name. If there's anything you need, I guarantee Joe would be up for helping you with whatever you might need. So just
absolutely, sounds good.
So what about like Mythic Legions or Four Horsemen, like the stuff that they've had? Are you a toy collector? Like, do you collect toys now? Is this something that you're into outside of, what you're doing work from them?
Yes. So I've always been a toy collector. Like I said, with Power of the Force 2 coming out when I was in college, that kind of, not that anything had ever really died, because I was still buying like vintage Star Wars and G.I. Joes at flea markets and stores. But I wasn't, and I was still looking at toy shops, but I wasn't actively buying stuff in toy stores at that point. Random things here and there. KB Toy was still around, and they always had their great clearance bins. So I was buying things like that, random stuff. Like I remember, because they were so dirt cheap, and because I did enjoy the movie, I bought like all the Stargate figures, at a KB Toys for like the 3 for $10 deals or whatever. And that's actually where I picked up my skeleton.
Wow!
Back in the day, I've got.
I was going to say,
other ones over here. Shriek's over here. Well, she just lost her cape, but whatever. So I've got a few of them, and they're laying here, and I've known about this for a while. So, but yeah, so I have collected toys. For me, for Four Horsemen in general, it was mostly a here and there cherry picking. I don't, well, now it's a little different, but I didn't really have the budget for toys, and full on collecting. And I was already spending a lot of money in gaming and in music gear and stuff in general. So for me, it was a lot of figura obscura type stuff. Like I'm a big Christmas guy. So I love the Krampus. I love the Carol stuff. I got them all, like Jacob Marley. I got them right there. And so I was buying those. And, here and there, I bought a lot of the PowerCon stuff in person, because I was a He-Man fan, or am a He-Man fan. And then just random things. I did back the very first Kickstarter, so 10, 11 years ago or whatever it was. And mostly that was my, which is kind of I don't know exactly how I got there, but like, I'm pretty sure it was because of Glyos and October Toys that really I started paying attention to Four Horsemen at that time. But yeah, and I still buy Glyos. I got Mangalore here, and other guys over there. But I and then I've got a lot of NECA, and I've got a lot of things, and I'm looking down at them all. I'm excited. I got my Damien here.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
I got the Templars back there with the other Skellies. So I've been playing catch up on a lot of this stuff, because it's reference, right? I need it all for reference.
For sure.
That's it.
It's a good reason. Yeah.
I will say I am a Dark 4 fan. Necronominus, then the Brood, then Poxus, then Arethyr. That's my order. I really don't care. I mean, I joke about I don't really care about elves and humans much at all. Dwarves are all right. Dwarves I can get in Arethyr, and that's cool. But I don't know. Some good guys I'm not super excited about. I do like Jagwallians. I'm a cat guy. So I mean, there are some. There's a few. I mean, I've got a bunch of, but I'm kind of like, well, if I'm gonna get all of what can I get? What can I reasonably have? I've been pretty much going Dark 4 and then cherry picking the good guys, so to speak.
Nice.
So yeah,
that works.
And Cosmic, I wasn't all in on Cosmic, but this new wave, man, Mortal Thorn.
The new wave is, which by the way, we should mention the pre-order ends tonight.
An hour and a half.
Yeah. So definitely get
but
in
like
your orders.
I have Slog right here, so he's like right next to me. So I have a bunch of them now too. So I'm loving them.
I gotta say,
My
when Curtis asked if you still collected, I was like, clearly he doesn't follow your Facebook account,
uh,
because you've had a
I
couple
see
pictures
mostly
last week.
music when I
Well,
see his stuff. Yeah.
but he's like, but it's pictures of his desk, and there's just stuff all over.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I love it because it's like I wish I could allow myself to have my stuff like on my desk like that, but like I have to have them like up in place,
yeah.
because there's enough other crap around my desk that it would drive me crazy. But like, see, I'm like, oh man, he has fun sitting at that desk.
Yeah.
I do, and I'm like always like, Phaeton is just fantastic, and like I don't know something about him. He's like my fidget toy for sure of recent times. But like I even bought the Mr. Beast. So I got him to. But today I went to a toy show and I bought some
Oh yeah.
more Joe Army Builders. I guess I didn't talk about GI Joe at all in any of that, but I mentioned the Vamp, but I did work on the GI Joe RPG.
Oh, okay.
For which, so there was yet another toy line to RPG, and I bought more Python Patrol today because they're my favorite. Always have been since they came out. Once they started doing the special teams, Python Patrol was always my favorite. So I took two of my daughters and we went to just a small Columbus show today. It was a good one, but I just like I'll pick up a few more Army Builders because it was a good price, and it was actually for Joe's Finest, which is like a charity group. So all of the donations that everything they make at the table, they give to an animal charity. So I was like, well, this is great. I can get more Joes, and the dogs are going to be good. Get the benefit of it. So,
And being a cat
Yeah.
guy, that means that's just like an extra
Well,
bit of charity, right?
Yeah.
I'm just
Yep. Absolutely. Like, it's funny. I wasn't a cat guy until 3 years ago. I've always had dogs. My wife was a dog person. We had dogs when the girls were younger. But the last dog we had to get rid of. We just gave it to grandma and grandpa to take care of because we had stuff going on in our lives that we just were like, it was too much at that moment. But my oldest daughter, she fell in love with a cat, from a colony cats, and rescued that cat, and then brought him home. And she was in college at the time, so he was just here for the summer. But just in that time, it was kind of like, oh, well, maybe we need a cat too, So then we got one, and then now we have another. So now we have two. My oldest daughter, who lives on with her partner, they have two, and yeah. So now we're cat people.
Very nice. Did you? I don't know if you saw, but they've got a new World of Warcraft D&D coming out. Have you seen that?
Saw that, and Star Wars. It'll be interesting to see where all of this goes. First, Wizards or Hasbro had announced, like I think it was almost a month ago already, that for 5.5 that they were going to do a crowdfunding for GI Joe, Transformers, and Power Rangers. So they were going to steal the licenses back. I mean, they own them, but they were going to take them back, the titles back from Renegade Game Studios, who had them up until now. They were going to make them 5.5. And then, they announced that. And then just now this week at Gen Con, they announced Star Wars and World of Warcraft, and all for 5.5, but specifically as skins for D&D, those two, which means all of those will be compatible, which will be very fun, and be interesting to see how it goes, for it all, for the fan base. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. When I worked on GI Joe, we certainly have, like, the lines had their fans, but with the new game system in general, Essence 20, it did not take off, like the studio had hoped, and put out a lot of product into it in a short amount of time, but it just didn't go anywhere, and just didn't have the support that it really needed, I feel like. And so it's not a surprise to me that, like, it was taken back. 5.5 is not a bad decision in my opinion. Although I can definitely see where mechanically it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of sad as one of the designers on it that all of a sudden, like, it didn't even have much of a shelf life, and as an Essence 20 before now it's going to be going somewhere else. I have to hope that some of the groundwork I laid on that other system, like the stuff will translate over, and the next designers will be able to use what I created. That'll be cool enough for me. But yeah, it'll be a very interesting new sandbox for the industry. But with the way Wizards handled 5.5 initially, that whole announcement, and kind of pissing off a lot of old time players, and creating a whole new space for independent and OSR open source gaming, and a lot of traditional gamers going, okay, forget Wizards of the Coast, we're going to go with this more indie style. Be interested to see if they can sway that pendulum back. I mean, I know we're still talking D&D. Obviously, D&D is huge, right? They're not going, they're not hurt. And they still got things like Stranger Things and other things that are continually keeping them in the mindset. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a recovery. I'm loving all the other announcements: Dark Sun, Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms.
Oh yeah,
great teams that they announced. Like, they're bringing all of the creator. They're using the OG in it. So I'm glad to see Bob Salvatore, R.A. Salvatore is back, and working on that Forgotten Realms type stuff. That's awesome. It'll be interesting. I mean, if anything, it's going to be great for RPGs, and which I think will help Mythic in general.
Yeah, I mean, one of those things is going to appeal to somebody that brings them in, that if it wasn't for that they wouldn't be playing an RPG. So I know, like, for me, I played World of Warcraft for, a dozen years, and, met my wife on World of Warcraft, and, just love that world and the lore and stuff. So seeing that coming has me, like, really excited. So yeah, just pretty cool stuff happening in the RPG world. And the more people you get, introduced to some form of RPG, the more likely they are that they, stumble across what you guys are doing as well. So,
right.
Very cool.
I was gonna say I was a little, I'm a little jaded by Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast because of a lot of the stuff that's been coming out over the last couple of years with some of their business practices. I'm not going to get into all that. I mean, it's a business, but when I saw World of Warcraft, my first thought was, oh, cool. And then immediately, how are they just going to, like, turn this into, like, a milk money out of this? Like, because it's like, that's one of the things with D&D. Like, once you have the books, like, you don't need to buy more stuff. Like,
well, the trailer that they showed for it, like, the first thing you see on the trailer is, like, custom digital dice, which I'm a sucker for.
Well, right,
but I'm
like
just
that,
like, so.
But I mean, there's there's all the stuff, subscriptions to the D&D Beyond. It's more things they can add. So there's a part of me that's a little jaded by that. I still I didn't play World of Warcraft as long as you did, but I do love that world. I love the species and all that stuff. And then I saw, like, the miniatures, and I was like, oh, okay, those are freaking cool. Like,
I want to make a Death Knight so bad. So yeah.
So it's just I'm surprised they don't have like their own kind of, like, Hero Forge yet at this point. That's all within the Wizards catalog of stuff that you can make between all the different properties they're going to be doing. Like, that seems like that would be a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, who knows? It's early now. Yeah. I mean, they just announced that in November 27th, I think, is when the World of Warcraft game hits. And Star Wars is next year. So, they still got plenty of time to unveil and roll out stuff, especially between the two of those. And like, you're right. For any RPG, I mean, for the player, you really only need that core rule book, the player's guide, GM needs a couple other books, but we also all know that because we are what we are, most of us buy everything anyways. So
right.
whether we need it or not. So I don't fault any company for milking it. What blows my mind. So again, this is kind of interesting for me to see Wizards of the Coast actively doing something again, because there are so many companies out there. Like there's at least 4 dice companies that I can name that are doing officially licensed D&D stuff. And it's not just dice, it's, everything, all the accessories. And, for a long time, I was like, man, WizKids used to be Wizards of the Coast's biggest competitor in the game space. And for the last 15 plus years, WizKids has been Wizards' number one support piece, like making all of the official miniatures and games and expansions and statues and you name it. So it'd be interesting to see how all of those players can continue to interact and exist within the same space, with Wizards coming back out and saying, hey, we're doing new books, new games, new miniatures with those. That'd be interesting.
Well, and that I got one more question, or I guess discussion point about the RPG, and it's something that I've given this feedback. I know you guys have heard it. I know you guys have talked internally, and there's definitely plans at some point. But it just feels like with the fan base of Mythic Legions, because it's spread across the world, because you don't have a bunch of people that are going to be able to get together in somebody's living room, a couple times a month or whatever. There's got to be some sort of virtual space at some point. Any updates on that, or anything that as far as like direction that you guys are planning on going with some sort of virtual tabletop?
I have not been part of the conversation if there is. So I'd say nothing at the moment, or nothing new at the moment.
Okay.
I know that I know I have mentioned as well, like PDF versions, for sale of the books, because that's so big. And I'm still a grognard. I like my hard copies of everything. And I will always prefer my hard copies of everything. But I do know that there is a huge population of people who prefer their digital readers and PDFs. And so it's silly not to make that, because that's just free money. So I know there is that discussion. As far as the other ones, I know we probably should have those discussions. I just don't know if they're being had or not.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know.
I try to stay in my level. I try to stay where I'm at, and that's already doing a lot with like all the game design. So like I don't try to worry too much about like what everyone else is doing.
Jesse,
which I have a question about that. And obviously, I'm not digging for spoilers or to give away anything that you can't talk about in this question. So, you got to write, you got to write the adventure for the Kickstarter, or the starter set and everything. So you're one of, what is it, like 3 people now that is like creating story and lore for, like, are you allowed to say how much? I mean, I don't need like percentage, but like, is coming from Jeremy and Eric as guidance, and how much of it is you just getting to figure out where the borders are that you get to play in and make up your own stuff? Like, is that fun? Is that stressful? A little bit of both, stuff like that.
So for Mythic Legions, it's a totally different experience than when I worked on G.I. Joe or Transformers or the other Hasbro properties, because there were set parameters for sure there. For this one, for Mythic Legions, I asked Jeremy. I go to Jeremy when I have ideas, and 95% of the time, sounds good. Like, it's like, we hadn't thought of that, or, that's totally open. Let's do it. The other 5% of the time, it's usually some feedback that just needs change, like to change what the direction is. So basically, in other words, I have a lot of freedom. But I run it all past them. There's nothing I don't, and if it's not directly to Jeremy, it's to Len, and then Len sometimes goes to Jeremy if I'm asking too many questions, because Len doesn't know the answer either. But yeah, no, I am enjoying this amazing sandbox to play in. And I have a lot, like, I love the framework that's there. I love that there are like character bios. Even if they're just like, this is an army builder and we didn't do a bio for these army builders because we don't do that for army build, and I'm like, okay, that's great. That's good to know. Like, that's just a red knight, or that's just, whatever. Like, what can I do with that? And then I have read the Dark 4 book that Jeremy like finished and wrote, and that was all. It's a great book. I will say it's a great book. And definitely when it becomes available to pre-order, do that. But that helped a lot with, filling in a lot of gaps. And then, sometimes I'm just like, what do you think of this? And they're like, that sounds great. Or like I said, that little 5% of the time, it's like, sounds good, but, and then just do this change here and there and there. So, and a lot of times it is the fun things. It's like, on the map where there's that one island that's off that coast of, and they're like, Brian, the artist, whomever, Nate, whichever person made that map, they just put that on there. We don't have, I'm like, great, I'm going to use that. This is what it's going to, so.
See, that stuff's super cool. Like I know some of the stuff that like Joe has talked about is like, he wants to know, like, what does a marketplace look like within Mythos? What do the woods look like? Like, what kind of bugs do they have? Like, what are the names of the rivers? Just stuff like that we haven't really gotten into. And the last couple waves that they've done, with Isomol and then Dawns of Discovery, you've got more than just the bios. There's been this whole story that comes along with it, right? Which does bake that out a lot more. Like Isomol was the first one that, we got this whole story, and you got to really kind of visualize that whole area and what that the town looked like and things like that. And I think what you're doing then is just going to expand on that even more, to where, we're going to get a good picture of what the day-to-day kind of looks like within Mythos. Whereas for the first, 8-9 years, it was just, this is a cool character, and this is who he is, and this is the relationship to other characters, and this is who he hates and fights. And that's about it,
Yeah.
And now we're getting more of that little details that we want.
So one of the first things I did, and Jeremy said this, so I can say this. One of the first things I did was it was for myself. I did it for myself. It was back in last September. I had an idea for the adventure I was going to write, the post Kickstarter adventure. I had an idea, and it involved a holiday. And I asked, I was like, what do we know about the day-to-days? And we knew nothing. Like, that was something that was totally nothing. My cat is bothering me behind me. He wants there he is.
Oh, there he is.
I was like, he's trying to get my attention. That's Sparky. Hi, Sparky. Okay.
Hello.
So he does this a lot. So I needed a holiday, or I had an idea for a holiday, just as a backdrop. And so I sat down and basically created a holiday system for the 4 light factions, and in some cases, if the dark factions would have something as well, but like, they're not celebrating the defeat of Erethyr type things, whereas everyone else might, or whatever it is. So I came up with holidays, and it was a real rough draft. I spent a good amount of time on it, but it was still a pretty rough draft. Sent it off to Cameron first, and Cameron's like, well, that's got to go to Jeremy, because that's like 100% lore. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Jeremy loved it, which was like, the biggest encouragement, like right out the bat. I mean, I'm like, right out the gate, here I am, like, great. And he used part of it for the ghost elves that are going to be at Legions. And, he said that in his presentation a month ago or whatever it was, when the reveal for that, he was talking about the Feast of the Stag.
Mhm.
And that was the night that they let the monsters free, and then they go hunt them. And that was just when I heard that, he told me, and he was being very Jeremy about it, very close to the vest on all of it. He didn't even tell me how he used the information. I got to hear it when everyone else got to hear it. So, but I was as soon as he said that, I was like, and then he mentioned my name as the creator. I'm like, oh my God, that's my first real creator shout out for Mythic Legions. So I was very excited. Cool. And so then he and I were chit-chatting, about that after. But I had created a whole bunch of other holidays. So and that was just one of the ones that was just kind of oh, Zylona's flock needs a holiday too, whatever, da.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but it's stuff like that you don't think about, like how many months are there in a year, how many hours are in a day, yep. Just the stuff that can be important, especially if you're running a campaign and you're trying to figure out how long you need to rest and when you need to rest and what time of day. Do their days look like our days?
Exactly. So yeah, so there were things like that I wrote that again for myself initially. We needed it approved. Jeremy approved it. He used it, and then that kind of set the course for what I could do then for the adventure that I wanted to use it for, and gives us a whole lot more reference. And actually all of that will be printed in the core rulebook. So if cool. You're getting it, it will actually be in there. So that's exciting too. So you won't have to wait for
adventures
for all of that information. But of course there'll be more. But yeah, as far as the world building stuff, that's my preference. That's my number one. I've written a lot of fiction. I shouldn't say a lot. I've written fiction though in this industry. I've written fiction for myself, self-published stuff. I've written fiction for different other game systems, and I love the world building aspect of stuff. I read a lot of novels, a lot of graphic novels. And so yeah, to be able to do that is great. The stats for me is fun, but it's a little challenging. I'm a creative writer. Math is the harder side of things for me, but I figure it out.
So in the role-playing game, you guys had bags of coins in the Kickstarter that we could get. Are those coins used within the game? And is it is certain coins more or less valuable than others, or is it in certain regions they only use this coin and then in other regions they use that coin? Do we know about the money? Okay.
Yes. No. So the coins that we have that you bought a lot of, but the coins that are in the Kickstarter are representative of the monetary system in Mythos.
Okay.
So the gold pieces for D&D, the gold pieces are the gold lion Leodicius marked gold pieces. Platinum is Arethyr. I think I'm getting that right. Silver is Zylona. The bronze are the goblins. And then the copper are the dwarves.
Okay, so it is kind of a direct relation to the monetary system used within D&D.
Yes.
Gotcha.
We don't use Electrum, which is in D&D as a rare. We dropped that, but we decided to do bronze pieces instead. So they're the gobos. They're your super deep, goblin money. But that's cool too, right? The goblins, they got to have that. So then in the game, the dice game that I'm creating, it's a gambling game, and it's intended to be a game that you would play in that tavern that your guys are always brawling in, So it, especially in Mercurios, it's a game that you would find maybe very like you do in the real world, variations of poker, for example. Like there's variations that might be played throughout Mythos of this particular dice game. But it had its start back in Mercurios, probably during, downtimes when they're training there long before the gladiator battles and whatnot, when it was a true, Leandor property. But kids on the streets are playing with buttons and rocks. Adults are playing with different coins in the bars, and so there's different monetary values.
That's
so
really
yeah,
cool.
we're gonna the intent would be to be able to use dice and the coins to be able to play this game that we're creating that's in world, but to actually be sitting around Legion's Con or Carver Con or Muskegon or any of the other shows, Kirby Con, and be able to play some dice. Or
Very cool.
of the Pacific Northwest Con. I don't want to miss anyone. I don't know who
Yeah,
I'm missing, but
all the different cons, folks. Every
all
one of
the
the
different cons.
Yeah. Jesse, what do you got? I know we're running out of time here, but any other questions you got?
No, I just think that's really cool, and to me, that's the ultimate dream job, is getting, even though you're writing it for the game, it's still setting it for the whole world of Mythos, and I just think that's really cool in the collaborativeness of Eric and Jeremy. They've been working on stuff, and originally it was just Eric, and then it was Eric and I know other people give ideas here and there too, but writing stuff. So that's really cool and exciting to hear. I know when they announced, what was it, the calendar sometime last summer or fall, I thought that was really cool, and Kirby did the whole chart of that, and it's just really cool. Holidays and things to celebrate are what define one of the defining traits of cultures, so I just think that's really cool that that's one of the things you got to develop and work on, because then it gives the people, it's the people of Xylona's flock follow Xylona, and that's about all we know, as far as their practices and stuff. There's not a lot of detail, so it's cool to see all these things fleshing out, and I'm really excited. And I feel like all of my questions would be very specific and unanswerable at this point. So,
well, I did want to pull up the once again Kickstarter, or sorry, the Wave, the Cosmic Wave Mortal Thorn ends tonight. You got a little over an hour, and just really quickly, obviously it's a great wave, but Jesse, your top pick from this wave would be?
Scroll down. Zortex. Yeah.
And why?
Getting to it's crazy. The whole concept of that their species wears their organs on the outside. It seems like a really bad idea, but he looks so cool. And Eric did a fantastic job painting it. Seeing this in person at CarverCon was really cool. And seeing any of these figures in person, of course, it's always best when you get to put your hands on a final product, but I think the colorway on this guy is crazy. I think those effects are really awesome. And I love how weirdly proportioned he is, and it's just really cool.
So if that is your number one, which one do you think you will end up at once all is said and done, which one are you going to have the most of out of this wave?
Probably Dr. Zajari. Just for the customizing aspect. He, imp scale, we only have 3 other imp scales before him. And he looks like a lot of them are different from the mythic ones. So, more M scale.
Very cool. Yeah, for me, Dr. Zajari is my number one. Like he's my favorite. And I do need a few of them because of the M scale part of it. But as far as one that I'm going to have the most of, it's definitely going to be the robot. Like I feel like, when Brian's got all those figures next to him on his desk and he's talking about Faden just kind of playing with it, like to me, like this is the ultimate just fiddle around with figure. Like keep it in your pocket, take it places, keep it on your desk and just mess around and pose it. Like I think this thing is going to be super fun. And this is the one I need the most of because I'm going to be breaking these limbs off and making a bunch of cyborgs and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, super excited about that one. So, Brian, questions to you. First question, which one is your favorite out of this wave?
There's a lot. I think I really like Rune. Yeah. Yeah. I love the Street Samurai vibe. Yeah, that picture right there.
Yeah,
really
this
does
one,
it for
this
me.
picture's the best.
I mean, that one screams cyberpunk. And that's cool, but it's also still got a little bit of a G.I. Joe vibe. Yeah, I think that's probably my number one figure.
And then which
So
one will you end up with the most of?
The most of now, see, this is where I'm a little differing from a lot of the community. I try to only get one
Okay.
of anything because I don't customize. I'm really don't want to customize. I really don't want to. No, I will probably get multiples of the ACU. Maybe even the Protectorate, only because I do want to get the wings. I like that Centurion type vibe of them. So like to at least have one that's that way and one that's got the wings.
Yeah,
Because that will
this
really
wing
make them,
pack looks great.
yeah. I mean, that'll make them look like completely different figures, straight away. So, those will be my army builders as they're intended, I think. So, yeah.
Very cool. All right, folks. Well, you got a little under an hour now to get those orders in. So make sure you get those. Sean says, I love the holsters. Yeah, the holsters are cool. That's what I love this figure for. Those holsters on the side are pretty awesome. So not that there was anything wrong with the old pegs that they plugged in with, but the holsters are pretty dang cool. So all right. Well, guys, I think that's an episode. Brian, obviously you've been at a couple of the conventions. Most recently you were at CarverCon. Do you have anything coming up besides Legions Con this year?
I'll be at Motu Fest with Horsemen. And then those are the only two official shows I'll be doing. I'll probably continue to go to some local toy shows and whatnot throughout the year. So we seem like we have a bunch. I probably go down to Mothman Festival. I'm a big cryptid fan too. So I try to do that almost annually. Last year my band played. That was a lot of fun. This year I'll probably just go with the family.
Very cool. If you ever make your way down to Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth area, we've got a good friend, Alan Hops, who's in the community. He has a cryptid museum down there that he just opened a couple months ago. That's really good. So
nice.
Just as an FYI. So, all right. Well, Brian, we appreciate you having you on. This has been awesome. Anything else you want to share with folks or tell them before we put you backstage?
No, I really appreciate you guys having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to put you backstage. If you've got to run, that's totally fine. If not, hang out and we will talk to you as soon as we close out the show.
Okay.
All right. See you.
Thanks, Brian.
Jesse, another
Curtis.
Awesome show in the books.
Yes, it was. It was great to get to know Brian a little better. And obviously talking about the Mythic game is right up our alley. It's exciting to hear all the progression and all the the possibilities that the future holds for it.
I just went back to look at my Kickstarter pledge to see how many coins that I got. And immediately, like, the total of what I pledged popped up. And I was like, holy shit, do I still owe that? And then I was like, oh, that's already paid. Good. Because that's a big, man. Like, I don't, other than the Dragon campaign, I think that's the most I've ever spent on anything Mythic Legion was that RPG.
For sure.
So, yeah, I just saw that total and about knocked me out of my chair. So,
excuse me,
but I do have 2 bags of coins coming. So,
only 2?
That's it. I thought I had more, but no, I got the the Master of Mythos that just came with 1 bag, right?
I think so.
And then I got 1 extra. Yeah, so I just got two sacks of coins.
Cool.
But that should be fine. But wait a minute. I also got a core 6-figure. I don't think that came with anything. Yeah, so yeah, just 2 bags of coin, but I got a shit ton of figures. So
yes.
And books and all that good stuff. So anywho, what you got coming up this week, Jesse?
This week, hopefully I will finally be back to no overtime. So I'll be hopefully not doing anything next weekend, but during the week, my whatever this is should be back tomorrow. I was going to try to do one yesterday, but I didn't get to it. Then I'll be back on the things. And like you said, maybe we'll get to do a Spider-Man Brand New Day Wednesday one shot.
That'd be cool.
Don't worry, no spoilers in this conversation right now. And see what else. I don't know.
I will say that I thought it was good. So that's all you're getting out of me right now.
I enjoyed the movie.
There you go. For me, I've got tomorrow morning for members of the Art by Ackerman channel. I got a travel toy video dropping. It'll drop Tuesday for everybody else. Then Wednesday, I will have for members a new episode of Curtis Reads. It'll be episode 3. That'll drop for everybody else on Thursday. And then I'm going to try to see if I can get to an exploded review this week at some point of the Malignancy goblins. So,
ooh, nice.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I can get to those. But I did get my order in from Dirk, and I got a few figures from Ashes, and that's probably the one that I'm itching to break apart the most, just because of the 2 figures and all the parts. So,
you know what those goblins say inside that package?
What's that? Is that what they say?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Yeah, so that's what I've got going on, and I think that's about it, man. We'll be back next week with another show. We don't know who we have next week, but we will have a show.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
And as soon as we know, well, not necessarily as soon as we know, but once we know, it will be announced.
Did you hear about my Bungie situation?
Oh no.
So I exploded Bungie like 2.5 months ago. Like I had put out there like what I had put a poll on who they wanted to see exploded. I did a couple of them, and then the third one that I got to was Bungie, and I exploded it, had it out on my desk, and I just created a separate desk. So it used to be I did my exploded reviews on the same desk that I painted at. But then I created a second desk that was just for exploded reviews, and I exploded out Bungie, and I really had no interest in reviewing it at all because that figure just doesn't do anything for me. It just doesn't. And so I would be like, normally in the past, I would have to do the review so that I could paint on that same desk. But since it was on a different desk now, I was like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow would come. I go, then like 2 months go by, and I finally got to the point where I was like, I just don't want to review this figure. And so Friday on Mail Call, I gave it away. I spun a wheel and I gave it away. The parts that were on my desk already exploded. I did not put it back together. I'm like, whoever gets this, I'm taking all the parts. I'm throwing it in a box. You can figure out where the parts go. It's like a puzzle that has no directions on it, because I'm just so done with this figure. I just don't want to see it. And so, yeah, so I gave away my Bungie on Friday.
I love you, Bungie.
So And listen, I know some people absolutely love that character, and that's great. For me, I just had no interest in reviewing it, and I just could not force myself to do it. So, yeah. So there you go. I'm hoping,
You call yourself a dog person.
Yeah, unlike a bungee cord, I'm hoping that it doesn't come back to me. So. Yeah. Throw somebody off with a bungee cord and then they come back up. You know, the bungee's back.
But they don't usually come all the way. It's not like a boomerang.
What's on your shelf, Jesse?
Thanks for joining us, folks. Tune in next time for another exciting episode of Shooting the Shelf, where we don't have peeps, we have candy corn. No!